Okay, good morning everybody, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful 32nd day of the Omer, Wednesday morning, as we are studying together Parashat Behar, and we are moving right along, everybody. Parashat Behar, of course, we spoke yesterday and the day before about the Mitzvah of Shemitah. Okay, Shemitah is a huge test on a person's Bitahon to close your business for an entire year. Okay, people struggle closing their business for a day. People can't even go on vacation today for a week, and their business is being run by someone else. They're on their phone the whole time. So imagine shutting down your business for a whole year. A huge test in Bitahon, not an easy test. I would like today though to focus on the second mitzvah that's spoken about in our parasha, another mitzvah in the middle, chapter 25, pasuk 35. All of a sudden, after the Torah speaks about what happens in the Yovel year, the Torah tells us, "V'chi yamuch achicha imach." V'chi yamuch achicha umatai yado imach. If your brother will become poor and he is broken and he needs help, v'hehezakta bo, you should strengthen him. Ger v'toshav v'chai imach. So there is a mitzvah over here, the mitzvah of charity, the mitzvah of helping your brother, the mitzvah of giving a hand to those who need it. A very important mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that I think we all agree to. No one here would argue on the mitzvah of tzedakah. A very special mitzvah, a very beautiful mitzvah. The Magid Miduvna actually gives a very powerful mashal, if I may just speak about it for a minute, about a father who told he had three sons. Two of them moved out. One of them became very wealthy. One of them became very poor, unfortunately. And the third brother, many years later, was getting married. So the father writes a letter to his son, to the wealthy son. And he says, your brother's getting married. I want you to be here for the wedding. Please do whatever you can to make sure. And he writes him in the letter. He writes to the wealthy son, bring your poor brother with you and include him in your expenses. And whatever you spend, by the way, whatever you buy for your wife, whatever you buy, tickets for the plane to get here for the wedding, kol ha'otzaot, all the expenses, asher ya'aseh ba'avur kvod aviv, all the expenses that you spend to honor me, yeshalem lo, I'll pay you in full. Okay? So please make sure you're here for the wedding. Your brother's getting married in a few weeks. Bring your other brother with you. Whatever you spend to honor me, I'm going to pay you back 100%. Well, the wealthy son, even though he has money of his own, but he's hearing that his father is going to repay him, and he definitely uses the opportunity. He says, all right, honey, I want you to go out, buy a beautiful dress, get the kids the nicest clothing. I'm going to go myself get some very expensive shoes and shirts and colognes, and get yourself a nice perfume from Creed. Do whatever you got to do. It's on the house, this one. My father's going to cover it. And he goes out, he buys everything. And after shopping for 4 weeks for the wedding, he finally, right before he leaves, and he travels first class, he's going to take, first business class, private charter flight back home. And he remembers he has to bring his brother. He brings his brother in his poor clothing, in his ripped clothing. He throws him on the bus, on the train, on the plane, whatever it is. And they get back home, and everyone gets off. They get off the bus, and everyone sees the two brothers arrive. They see the first brother, the wealthy brother, dressed, decked out, with his family and his kids. And he comes off the bus, and everyone says, wow, look, this is the wealthy man's son. And then all of a sudden, this other guy comes off. He looks like a beggar. He looks like an ani. He looks poor. And he says, yes, and that's also the rich man's son. Everyone hazit. They can't even look at him. And they get to the wedding. The wedding was enjoyable, and the wealthy son stayed for a few weeks, and then finally he turns. He says, all right, Dad, listen, I stayed for a while, but I got to go back home. I have my business. I can't stay forever. And the father says, okay, 100%. Allah ma'ak, God be with you. Have a safe trip. And the son looks at his dad and he's like, are you, yeah, okay, I'm going to go back home. Anything you want to give me, Dad? And the father's like, no, I'm good. I don't really want to give you. Do I have your jewelry? Did you put it in my safe? No, we're good. He's like, Dad, I don't know how to tell this to you, but don't you remember? You said that whatever I spend, you're going to reimburse me. Where's my reimbursement? Where's my money I spent on the suits, on my wife's dress, on my daughters, on my kids, all the things? Where's the money for the tickets, for the flight? Where's the reimbursement? It came out to $18,000. And the father smiles and he tells his son, reimbursement? Reimbursement for what? He says, Dad, what do you mean? It's in the letter. Look what, here, he pulls out the letter. I brought the letter with me. I don't want you to forget. Look, it says in the letter that whatever I spend, you're going to read. Father says, read the letter carefully. I didn't say whatever you spend. I said, kol ha'hotzaot, whatever you spend, lichvodi, to honor me. If you're honoring me, I'm going to reimburse you. But if you did it really to honor me, how could it be that you brought yourself and your wife and your kids with the most expensive clothing, but your poor brother, you didn't even buy him a new suit? Your poor brother came off looking like a beggar. If you did it to honor me, where's the honor in my son coming dressed like that to his own brother's wedding? You didn't buy that clothes to honor me. You bought it for yourself. For yourself, I don't have to reimburse you. And says the Magid Miduvna, the Nimshal is very powerful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know whatever we spend on Shabbat, we get reimbursed. Whatever we spend on the holidays, the rabbis tell us, is free. It's on the house. Hashem's going to reimburse us. He's going to give us back whatever we spend. However, there's one very important proviso, and that is that we spend for Hashem's honor. If we're spending for ourselves, God doesn't guarantee nothing. If we're spending for Him, He pays us back in full. But we must know that if we're spending for Him, it has to be for Him. And for Him means I'm not just satisfied with me eating. If I'm the only one eating, if I have a fancy Shavuot meal, but my brother doesn't barely even have enough money for bread, if he could barely afford the tiniest thing, how could I call that to honor Hashem? That's not honor of Yom Tov. If it was for the honor of the Father, if it was for the honor of Yom Tov, he would make sure all the children are there dressed nicely. I'm not the only one that buys. Everyone buys a suit. Everyone's going to have. Everyone's going to eat. If I'm only okay for myself, I'm not honoring the holiday. I'm honoring Mizrahi. That's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu guarantees. Very beautiful mashal from the Magid Miduvna. But the question is asked. Yet we look in the parasha, and there seems to be some way, somehow, a connection between this mitzvah of charity, of V'chiyamuch ahicha, and the chapter right before it, which is Shemitah. And if we may borrow the question of Rashi, Ma inyan Shemitah etzel tzedakah. What does Shemitah have to do with tzedakah? What do these two mitzvot have to do with each other? They're unrelated. Shemitah is a mitzvah that we're observing the laws of the land. We're not working for a year. And all of a sudden the Torah juxtaposes, make sure you give your brother. Why are these two mitzvot back to back? Again, the Torah could have put the mitzvot in any order. He could have put the mitzvah of tzedakah somewhere else. But he puts it right after. And this answer is given as well by the Magid Miduvna. And he says something, my friends, that you must hear. I want you to please open up your not only your ears, but your hearts to what he's about to tell us, because this is such an important principle. This is a klal gadol, what he's about to tell us. There are some people in the world that they have a lot of money. They have. Baruch Hashem, they were blessed. And yet some way, somehow, they're still anxious. They're still worried. They're always de'aga. They're concerned. They're working non-stop, on the clock, 24/7. What are you working for? You don't have enough? Don't you have a house? Don't you have already food for the week? Don't you have food for the year? Don't you have money to last you for the next 70 years? Why are you still working like a Majnun? And he'll tell you, well, I need it just in case, for a rainy day. My kids may need it. I have to just, put extra. And they're worried. They're very concerned. You have another type of guy that maybe doesn't have as much, but everything's great. He's relaxed. He's happy. Baruch Hashem. LG. Life's good. I have enough. Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. Hashem's great. He takes care of me today. He'll take care of me tomorrow. I don't have to worry. Like the Hafetz Chaim. The Hafetz Chaim used to open up his store, open up whatever he needed for the day. When he would make enough money, let's say you needed $100 back then for the day. Once he would sell $100, he would close the shop. The guy would come, sir, I need bread. We're done. We're closed. Go to the guy down the block. There's some people today like that, by the way. I don't know if it's because of Bitahon. Like there's a bagel store, the bagel store in Deal, right? 4 a.m. bagels. You go to that bagel store, the best bagels in the world. Okay? Let me tell you something. There's no better bagels than them. But sometimes, people coming in like at 1 p.m., middle of a Sunday, do you have any more bagels? Oh no, we're done. We finished making bagels today. Dude, he'll sell another $3,000 worth. Go open up the oven, make another bagel. No, Baruch, the guy's like the Chafetz Chaim. Baruch Hashem, I made enough today. Okay, maybe he has bitachon. I don't know what to tell him. But it's unbelievable. There's people that have bitachon like this. I don't need more money. I made enough money today. We're good. We don't need more. Okay, it's amazing. So, says the Magid Miduvna. Then, so take these two people again one more time. Guy one, bitachon. Guy one, he's working, he's nervous. Guy two, it's so great, all good, Hashem. Now, all of a sudden, a guy who needs money comes collecting, door to door, and he asks the first guy for tzedakah, hey, can you help me? All of a sudden, what does the first guy tell him? He says, listen, there's Hashem in the world. And Hashem takes care of everybody. And you need to have bitachon that God's going to take care of you. And all of a sudden, this guy who's nervous all day, who's working like crazy because he needs an extra money for 80 years from now, all of a sudden he uses the word bitahon. You have to have bitahon. You have to have faith in Hashem. Have trust in Hashem. Don't worry, Hashem's going to take care of you. Boom! Right? And the other guy who's confident in Hashem, when someone comes to him for help, he says, of course. He pulls out his wallet. Here you go. He says the Magid Miduvna, this is what we call backwards bitachon. This is me'uvat. This is corruption. This is corrupt bitachon. When a person takes bitachon and he spits it at other people, and he says to others, have bitachon. Have bitachon. Don't worry. Believe in Hashem. He's going to take care of you. Don't come to me for help. Go to Hashem for help. This guy is wicked. He doesn't have bitachon. Because after all, when it comes to him, where's your bitachon? When it comes to him having money, he's nervous all day long. Why? Why is it like that? The answer is, these people, they don't have real bitachon. They're using bitachon as an excuse to not help other people. They're using bitachon as an excuse to not give. Says the Magid Miduvna, you know what's real bitachon? Real bitachon is for me. Real bitachon is I tell myself, I don't have to go to work today. Hashem will provide. I have enough money for the year. Let me spend an extra hour learning. I don't have to go to work at 9 a.m. I could go to work at 10. Let me pray. I don't have to go to work at 10. Let me go at 11. I can learn. I don't have to waste my whole day. I could use it to help my kids. I could use it to help people. I could use it to do chesed. Hashem will take care of me. That's bitachon. Real bitachon is on myself, not on other people. When someone else comes to me, I shouldn't play the bitachon card. When someone else comes for a hand over there, I should actually, to tell him to have bitachon is wickedness. That's horrible. That's not true bitachon. True bitachon is when I apply it on me. Hashem created worry. You know why God created anxiety? We live in the age of anxiety. Everyone anxious all day, worried, bugging out. What's going to be? Right? Everyone's on medication. You know why Hashem created anxiety? Worrying, by the way, does worry have a place in Judaism? Are we supposed to be anxious and worried? Is there ever a time to be worried? Yes. Worrying is to be used when other people are suffering. When other people are struggling, that's when we should be worried. What's going to be? They have to pay for the wedding. Could we make it in time? They have this, they have that. I have to help them. I have to find them a shidduch. I have to get them the food. I have to get them the money. I have to get them the help. I have to get them the clothing. That's a great time to be worried. Worrying for others is a great worry. Not to worry for myself. For myself, Bitahon. For myself, Hashem will take care. For myself, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. I have to be worried for other people. This is what the Brisker Rav said. They once came and they said, Rabbi, is there ever a time, because we know every trait in life, there's a time to use it and there's a time not to use it. Is there ever a time to be a heretic? What does that mean? Is there ever a time to be a kofir? Is there ever a time that I'm supposed to not believe in Hashem? I don't know. If everything in life needs balance, so maybe then I'm supposed to balance even my belief in Hashem. Is there ever a time that I'm not supposed to believe in God? And the Brisker Rav said, yes. When an ani comes to your door and he asks you for help, you're supposed to make believe there's no God in the world. You're supposed to make believe that you're the only one that can help him. You're not supposed to say, Dora Hashem, don't worry, Hashem will take care of you. That's rishut. That's wickedness. You're supposed to be a non-believer in that minute when the ani comes to your door. You're supposed to make believe there is no God. You're supposed to make believe without God, if you don't help him, no one's going to help him. That should be the attitude. I have to help you, and if I don't, no one will. That's the message of the parasha. Says the Magid Miduvna. Let's go back to our parasha. Our parasha begins with Shemitah. What is Shemitah? Shemitah is a beautiful mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that, like we said, you close shop for a year. Could you imagine the test in a person's bitahon? Could you imagine a person who's able to pass this test? Imagine the level of bitahon that this guy achieves. Wow. This guy, he doesn't work his land for a whole year. He's a real Baal Emunah. He has faith. Says the Magid Miduvna, but there's a very big danger that comes with faith. A very big danger comes when a person has such trust in Hashem, is that a person who keeps Shemitah may have internalized the mitzvah so much that they start applying it outward. A person with bitachon, a person who closes his business for a year, a person who keeps Shemitah may start saying, if I don't work and I have faith that Hashem is going to take care of me, then what's your problem, Mr. Poor Man? Have faith. Don't worry. Hashem's going to take care of you. The same way God took care of me. The same way I'm not working this year. The same way I closed my field for Shemitah. You close your field. Don't worry about it. God's going to take care of you. And this is, again, a very crooked type of bitachon. Says the Torah, don't ever apply your bitachon on other people. Don't ever say to someone, I don't have to help you. Have bitachon. The same way I'm keeping Shemitah and I have bitachon, you have bitachon. Says the Torah, give him. Says the Torah, if your brother is poor, help him. What do you mean give him? Why should I give him? Where's my bitachon? Where's his bitachon? Bitachon is for you. But for other people, you have to apply to them, give them the maximum. And this is something that we've spoken about in the past often, and this is what we call the double standard. There is a double standard. Unfortunately, the double standard that most people have is that for other people, they're always telling others to be strict. They're always telling others that they should do. They're always telling others that they should give. And when it comes to themselves, they give zero. When it comes to themselves, they're all the time doing. Some people, right, they tell their kids, hey, can't waste your time on the phone. Can't waste your time on the TV. You have to read. You have to learn. And then the parents, where are they? They're nowhere to be found learning. They're nowhere to be found praying. They're on their phone all day. Right? Unfortunately, you saw it now. How many people said in COVID, politicians, important people, you have to wear a mask. You have to cover up. You have to keep your kids safe. We can't be anywhere. And all of a sudden, we see pictures of these politicians and important people out in the public having parties with no masks. Everyone's locked up in the house and they're having a good time. It's a double standard. Says the Torah, we believe in a double standard, but the other way. For us, for a Jew, For others, we tell to be lenient, but for ourselves, we are strict. That's the true double standard. That's the right way. The Pasuk says in Tehillim, Ashrei maskil el dal. Okay? Let's repeat those words one more time. Chapter 41 in Tehillim. Ashrei maskil el dal. Happy is he who is maskil el dal. What does that mean, maskil el dal? By the way, I was part of a kollel called Maskil el Dal, right? The chesed part of my rabbi in Brooklyn is called Maskil el Dal. What does that mean, Maskil el Dal? Maskil el Dal, simply it means, from the word lehistakel, what does it mean? To look. Happy is he who can look at the needs of the poor person. Because if you want to help someone, you have to see them. There's a mitzvah of bikur cholim. Why is there a mitzvah to go visit the sick guy? Because when you go visit him, you see what he needs. Oh, he needs a pillow. He needs medicine. He needs maybe a TV. He needs a radio. He needs something that I could help him. He needs a drink. And when we go, a lot of times, the nurses even, they don't always care to make it comfortable for the ani, for the sick. So they give him the bare minimum, what he needs. But the guy is suffering, he's missing meals, right? So it's important that we are going and we're seeing with our eyes, what does he need? Not enough to just rely on what we think he needs. You have to see it. Maskil lehistakel. But there is a deeper understanding, and that is that the word maskil over here can be connected to the word sechel. Actually, it's spelled with a sin. Maskil from the word sechel, and the pasuk is saying, praiseworthy is he who uses his wisdom for the poor. What wisdom is needed for the poor? So again, maybe you'll answer me that you need to use sechel to know how to tend to his needs. What does he need? Right? You have to use your brain. Right? Some people, they don't use their brain when they give tzedakah. They just give. They give and they don't use sechel. And the guy maybe is getting a lot of money, but for things that are not important. So you have to use sechel to know how to give him and what to give him, and make sure that he's getting it and investing it the right way. Help him out the right way. Use your brain. Says the pasuk though, Ashrei maskil el dal. Based on what we just said today, maybe the pasuk is telling us that the real type of tzedakah, to really give tzedakah, you got to use sechel. You got to use your brain. What kind of sechel do you need? What kind of wisdom do you need? You have to know how to not impose your values, not to impose your bitahon on the other guy. That's the wisdom. Because if a person's going to really be bitahon, sometimes you can have a guy who'll make a mistake. He's so religious, he has so much trust in Hashem, that when someone else needs money, he says, don't worry, have trust in Hashem. So you need a lot of sechel. You need a lot of wisdom to know how to apply the double standard. That for me, I should have bitahon. But for the other guy, I can never impose my bitahon on somebody else. This is not only a rule in bitahon, my friends. This is a rule in every single midah. Whenever we work on ourselves, whenever we work on our character, let's just pick another example. Humility. I'm humble. I'm working on my humility. So now, let's say there's somebody who did something nice. Let's say my wife, she worked very hard. We're having a huge dinner. Should I give her a compliment out loud in front of everybody? You may argue and say, no, because you're testing her arrogance. Maybe I shouldn't give somebody honor at the Torah. Maybe we shouldn't put a plaque for somebody because now you're testing his arrogance. So if I should really be humble, then maybe humility is don't give anyone any honor. Just treat everyone like zero, because after all, that's what I would do for myself. Right? We know that there's a sin of lifnei iver lo titen mishol. I'm not allowed to put a stumbling block in front of another person. If I give you a compliment in public and I praise you, I say, wow, this guy, he's such a tzaddik, he does this, and he does that, and he helps, and he's doing. And now the guy is sitting there, and on the outside he's like, no, it's all Hashem. But on the inside he's like, yes, it's all me, right? So this guy, I just fueled his ego. Is that bad? Is that the wrong thing? I'm fueling his ego? Should I not do that? Says Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, when it comes to midot, when it comes to character, we don't worry about inflating someone else's ego. We don't worry about putting a stumbling block in front of another Jew. This was actually the mistake of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim. We know that we're in the Omer, and right now is a time of the year that we're mourning. We're mourning for the students of Rabbi Akiva who passed away from Pesach all the way till tomorrow, till Lag BaOmer. So we grow a beard, we don't cut our hair, we don't have weddings, we don't listen to live music, right? It's a time of mourning for the Jewish people. Now, why did these holy students of Rabbi Akiva die? What did they do? Says the Gemara, Lo nahagu kavod ze lazeh. They didn't honor one another. They didn't honor one another. Now, is that conceivable? Honestly, let's think about it. You're talking about, not a rabbi, you're talking about the biggest rabbi in history, maybe. Rabbi Akiva. His students are not going to give honor one another? How can it be? How can it be they made such an elementary mistake? Why wouldn't they? It says in Rishonos Salanter, because they made this mistake. They said to themselves, if honor is bad for me, if kavod is bad for me, if all day long they're reading in the books how you have to be humble and you can't look for kavod and you shouldn't look for honor. So they started applying that outward. And they said to other people, if honor is bad for me, then it's bad for you. So why should I give you kavod? And this is a very grave mistake. In life, we are not supposed to apply our values on other people. We cannot impose them on other people. For us, maybe we should have bitahon, but for other people, we need to help them. I'll give you another example. A lot of times we read how we should be simple. We should be simple. We shouldn't have extravagance things. We shouldn't have fancy things. Be simple. Gashmiut is no good. Physicality, too much physicality, it means you're losing your priorities. Right? Okay, it's nice value. Then, all of a sudden, you have someone else that has a huge, nice house that they built. They have a nice car. They have a nice wedding. And all of a sudden, you think, wow, what's wrong with this person? They're so physical. Too much money, too much house, too much this, too much that. Why should we shouldn't compliment their car. We shouldn't mabruk them on building a beautiful new house. It's not good. Actually, I'm going to tell them something. You know, very nice, but I think you're too much connected to Olam Hazeh. I think you're too focused on this world. Try to be a little bit more spiritual, could you? Would you work a little bit on your spirituality? Maybe be a little bit closer to Hashem. Did you really have to buy that chandelier? It's so physical. You could have done with a $1,000 chandelier. You didn't need the $10,000 chandelier. Okay, whatever. Maybe for your next house you'll learn. Right? That's again wickedness. It says Rabbi Yisrael Salant, the other person's gashmiyut is your ruchniyut. I'll give you another example. Let's say you're marrying off a daughter. You're marrying off a son. And now, it's time to get the other side something. You have to get them something. You have to get them what we call in our language a swani. A nice table, and put nice gifts on it. And right? So a person may say, I'm a very spiritual person. I don't see the need in helping other people physically. Why should I give them? Why should I do for them? But again, the message of Rabbi Akiva's students is that that's a beautiful value to live by for yourself. That's a way to approach life for me. For me, I should be detached from physicality. But when it comes to other people, I give them honor. I should give them money. I should give them help. I should deck them out with the finest and the nicest. Okay, this is a very powerful, again, lesson. We even find it, if we may go back to the book of Bereshit. We know, if you turn to the book of Bereshit, Yaakov Avinu was living with his father-in-law, right? Every son-in-law's dream. And he was working for his father-in-law for many, many years, 20 years to be exact. And finally, after 20 years, God says to Yaakov, time to go home. Time to head back home, Yaakov. You made enough money, go back home. Laban's going to affect you too much now if you stay any longer. He's starting to rub off on you. Whatever it is, you have to go back home. Okay, great. If I'm Yaakov Avinu, you know what I do? I call my wives. I say, listen, honeys. Right? He had many wives. So I say, listen, my dears, your father is already being very, aggressive and hostile. And Hashem came to me actually in a dream last night, and he said that it's time we go home. So pack your bags. We'll leave tomorrow, middle of the night. We'll head out. Okay? Yeah, good idea. Hazak Baruch. That's what I would do if I was Yaakov. You know what Yaakov does? Yaakov goes to wife. He says, "Listen, my dears, Hashem came to me, and he said that we should leave. What do you think? Think it's a good idea? How's your relationship with your father these days? Is it good? Is it strong? Should we stay? I feel bad. I mean, it's up to you, really. What do you want to do?" And the wife finally say, "No, listen. Our father, he treats us like we're his slaves. He doesn't take care of us. We're just like objects to him. He tries to use us for money and." If you want to go, let's go. We're with you. We're supportive. Whatever you want to do. He says, okay, great. Okay, because actually Hashem told me that we should go also, so I guess we'll go. Isn't that amazing? What are you doing, Yaakov? What are you asking them? You're asking them permission? What permission? God says go. You get up and you go. This is what the halacha says, honey. This is what the Torah says, my dear. This is the halacha. You have to start dressing like this. You got to start covering that. You have to start doing this. It's the halacha. It's what Hashem said. Yaakov doesn't do that. Yaakov doesn't play the halacha card. Because in life, we cannot impose our halachot on other people. We cannot impose our bitahon on other people. Maybe it's very nice, Yaakov, that you're all the way up here on this level. You attained that when Hashem comes and he says that you do it. That's your level. Good for you. God says jump, you ask how high. Hazak, I like it. That's nice for you. But you want to take it and now force another person to hold to your level of faith and trust? What if your wives aren't on that level yet? What if they're not ready to just leave because Hashem said? Then you can't just impose it on them. And Yaakov says, you're right. Yaakov doesn't. He can't. He asked them, are you okay with it? How do you feel about this? What a powerful lesson in Shalom Bayit, by the way. In marriages. How many times, when one spouse is growing and the other one maybe is not so much, we impose, you have to, I need you to start getting in my program. What a waste of time you are. What's going on, right? This is a huge, huge, huge mistake. It's something that we learn from Yaakov. It's something that we learn from Rabbi Akiva students. It's something that we learn from our parasha. Shemitah, have bitahon. But for other people, that's not how you should think. For other people, you need to help them. You need to get up. You need to do. You need to be active. You need to be worried for them. You need to be anxious for them. One final idea. We find later on in the Torah, we're going to read, Yisa Hashem panav elecha. We say every day in Birchat Kohanim, may Hashem show you favor. What a blessing, huh? May Hashem show us favor. Who doesn't want favor here? Anyone? We all need favor, right? We all want Hashem to show us. Yisa Hashem panav. The Gemara asks what we call a setira, a contradiction. Gemara says, how could we ask God for favor when the pasuk says itself in another place, Lo yisa panim v'lo yikach shochad, God can't be bribed, He doesn't show favoritism. What's going on over here? Does God show favorites or not? And the Gemara says, well, usually no. He doesn't usually, but when it comes to the Jewish people, is an exception. Why? What is it that we do that makes us exceptional? The Gemara says, because the Jewish people, when it comes to having bread, the pasuk says, ve'achalta ve'savata. The pasuk says that you should eat and be full. And when you're full, then they say, b'chat hamazon. That's what God said. But the Jewish people are machmir. The Jewish people are strict. Even if they're not full, even if all they had was a kazait, they also say b'chat hamazon. So you see, says God, if the Jewish people are exceptional, then I also have to make an exception for them. That's the Gemara. Now, this Gemara is very hard to understand, right? For many reasons. But it seems to be what the Gemara is saying is that because we're strict in halacha, so God is also strict. And we have to ask ourselves, of all stringencies that exist, why does Gemara pick this one? I told them to only bench after a kaza, after they're full, and they're even mahmir on a kazait. Why didn't God pick as an example Yom Kippur? I told them to start fasting when it's sunset, but they fast from 20 minutes before sunset. Why doesn't it keep Shabbat? I told them that they're not allowed to, they're not allowed to use a pen, but they're strict and they don't even move a pen. Yeah? I told them they can't eat meat and dairy together, and they're strict and they don't even eat it 6 hours in between each other. Right? I mean, there's so many examples of stringencies they could have picked. What's unique about this example of ve'achalta ve'savata uberachta? The answer is that this word ve'savata comes back to another time that we see this word. Ve'savata, the pasuk says that a person gives tzedakah, right? Ve'saveu. What does that mean, ve'saveu? You should give him till he's full. Give the ani till he's full. Now, how do we interpret that word, till he's full? Well, how do we interpret the word ve'achata ve'savata when it comes to eating and saying berchat hamazon? Because they should be consistent, no? Well, some people will be inconsistent. Some people will say, when it comes to me, I should be full till I'm really full. For me, I need to eat a steak every night. I need to spend on dinner $300. For the ani, he only needs to eat for dinner chickpeas and lettuce. For the ani, $2 is enough. For me, I should eat a lot. But for the other people, so these are people that are inconsistent. The way you define to be full, for you and him, is two different words. Not fair. It's inconsistent. Says Hashem. But the Jewish people, they are inconsistent. But the other way, they for themselves apply a very strict definition for full. When it comes to them eating to say berchat hamazon, they say it even on a kazayit, even on a small piece. And yet when it comes to helping the ani, they say, well, the Torah says we have to give him till he's full. Give him a lot. Help him a lot. And so the Jew, says God, understands the secret of having a double standard, but for the benefit of other people, the double standard. On myself, it's enough if I eat this much, I'm fine. For other people, I have to give them much more. And Baruch Hashem, there are people like this again in our community, that they understand that when it comes to helping, not to give them minimum, not to give them just what they need, and then I'm sitting there enjoying the finest, the best wines. People, Baruch Hashem, understand, if I spend 100,000, I want to make sure somebody else could spend 100,000 on their wedding. If I'm drinking this wine, somebody else should be drinking this wine for their Shavuot. If I'm having these desserts for Shavuot, someone else should be having these. If I'm spending this, other people should be spending this. There are people that when they throw a wedding, they make sure to give the equal amount to tzedakah, Baruch Hashem. They say, you know what, if I could spend this on my wedding, then somebody else should be able to spend this on their wedding. And they give it out. Again, how the organization wants to divide it is up to them. But to at least understand that in life, never to apply our chumrot, again, our stringencies on other people, that's not the right way. The right way is to be strict, but to be strict on ourselves. We want to have humility, to be humble yourself. You don't like gashmiyut, so tell that to yourself. When it comes to others, we must help, we must do. Be'ezat Hashem, we should be zocher always to remember this beautiful secret of keeping Shemitah, but also helping others with tzedakah. We'll stop over here. Have a wonderful day. God willing, we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.